Hey, everybody, welcome. Oh, let me get this camera set up. Hey, Morgan Wright, CEO and founder of the National Center for Open and Unsolved Cases. Maybe looking a little rough, a little ratty. That's okay. It's been a long week. It's been a good week. Let me bring you up to speed. We did our demonstration of the Holmes platform for the National Center on Wednesday, July 30th. I got to tell you, folks, the numbers were amazing. I've got a spreadsheet here. I'm not going to tell you who, but I'm going to tell you some of the agencies that showed up, the number of citizens. So we had 310 people register, I think maybe a little bit more. Out of that 310, 236 attended. That is a 77% attendance rate, which is unheard of. I've done webinars for the Center for Digital Government for law enforcement to get 77% of the people who register to show up. It's an amazing number. Thank you to you folks out there who did it. If you didn't get a chance to see it, guess what? Right there, openunsolved.org. You can go see it. You can go view it. You can see everything that's going on. So now there were two parts to this, right? We did the demo. The demo was 60 minutes. Kind of had an intro. I got to give a big shout out, first of all, to the International Homicide Investigators Association, Steve Lewis, the executive director down there. I'm an associate member of IHIA. I called up and I said, "Hey, we want to get this out to your membership." He said, "Yeah, no problem." They got it out, and I'm telling you, registrations went through the roof. So I want to thank IHIA especially, and I'll make sure that that gets into the comments. But it was amazing the number of people we had on there. So we showed an overview of the system, got a lot of positive feedback. Here's the challenge. You design the stuff, you think about it in your head. I mean, I worked on this. I came up with this idea actually 13 years ago. Been working on this for 13 years in various forms. Originally called Connected to the Case, but it used Facebook to do it. Privacy issues with Facebook. They changed the algorithm. Things would break, right? Had to re-architect this, rethink this. So you put this together, but you go, okay, look, what will people think? What will people do? So it's the big reveal, right? You get it out there. Got a lot of feedback behind the scenes, but that's almost like going to your friends and say, hey, what do you think of my new little thing, whatever? And all your friends are going to go, oh, that's so good. Nobody really wants to tell you the real story, right? They want, oh, that sucks. It's like calling the baby ugly. If you saw that Seinfeld episode, oh, the baby. So this is kind of one of those moments where you open the kimono and you say, okay, let's take a look. And I was amazed at the feedback we got from everybody. I have to tell you, it's humbling. It's also great because it tells me there's a need for this. There's a need for this because one of the questions I ask a lot of the law enforcement people is, have you ever seen a system like this before? Now I have to tell you, when I was doing the work down at the Department of Justice, working on the law enforcement information sharing program now called One DOJ, a part of the work I did, I had to survey and find out how many information systems were out there in the Department of Justice. Now, this is just shortly after 9/11 as well. So the Immigration and Naturalization Service, INS, as they called it at that time, was an entity. So they had their systems, but I looked at ATF, which at that time was under Treasury. You start looking at all these things, and you go, folks, I don't know if this number will shock you or not. There were over 300 major information systems associated with the U.S. Department of Justice. You had an art theft database. Now, did that art theft database talk to other databases? No. I know, folks, I know because I was on the inside. I saw how the sausage was being made and it was not pretty. This is one of the things that led me thinking about this. So it's like we were missing the chance to connect the dots. We missed all of these opportunities to connect the dots, whether it was on 9/11. I gave this example, but just to kind of drive it home, Nawaf al-Hasbi, number two planner. 6 of the 19 hijackers all had contact with law enforcement. One of the more notable ones was the number two planner, Nawaf al-Hasbi, behind Muhammad Atta. He was stopped by the Oklahoma Highway Patrol in April, written a traffic ticket, checked through our federal systems called NCIC, see if you're wanted, run the tag. He was in the system. August, State Department puts him on a do not fly watch list. People, he's already in the country. Uh, the DC sniper, I went out and briefed the FBI. I showed him based on analysis of patterns of activity and human behavior and the association of serial criminals with low level contacts with police for things like drunken disorderly, shoplifting, things like that. So I'd gone out there, basically same thing, all the dots we needed to connect the DC sniper. When you look at the number of people in the United States that have contact with law enforcement, 16 enrolled. It starts like this: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 contacts. So the number that has 6, 7, 8 contacts is very small. So you start applying that to contacts. There's a thing, I won't bore you with all the details, but there's a way to capture all of the inquiries that are made in an offline database, but it's offline. So when you go back and look at all the vehicles that had their tags run 2 or more times because we know they had to be using a vehicle because it wasn't a white panel van, but it was a vehicle. 97 vehicles had their tags run 2 or more times. Out of those 97, 3 were Chevy Caprice, 1 belonged to Malvo and Muhammad, and 4 times a dark colored or burgundy colored Caprice was seen leaving the scene of a shooting. And by the way, it's the only tag in the United States whose tag was checked through NCIC, the National Crime Information Center, in both the National Capital Region and Montgomery, Alabama. And why is that important? Because one of the shootings they tied together on ballistics was in Montgomery, Alabama. So this is what's driven me. Say, look, the dots are already out there. We got to connect these dots. So we had a great demo. We showed the ability to link not only based on location, but there's some neat opportunities this gives us now in terms of occupational profiling. So one of the things that you'll see in this is that when I was showing, I don't know if I still have the, yeah, here it is. This is my example that I used. If you see here, call me Tamara Williams, wanted by the U.S. Marshals for murder, dismembered her boyfriend, dropped several of his body parts off on I-75 in Ohio. It was wanted by Midvale Police out of Wayne County, Michigan. But that's about all it says, right? But she's a phlebotomist. All right. So now, if you're a phlebotomist, one of the things I can do is I can do now occupational profiling. There was, by the way, came up with 12 more locations. I've already talked to the U.S. Marshals about this. We're working pretty close on this stuff. So now I can profile her based upon her occupation. Now, here's an interesting thing. My buddy Johnny Capicelli down in Chesterfield County, one of the agencies who helped us pull this off, we're going to talk to some people out of BAU, the Behavior Analysis Unit, BAU for dealing with adults and stuff. But it'd be very interesting from a behavioral standpoint to say, look, if you are a carpenter and now you're a fugitive from justice, or you are a carpenter, but you are an unknown suspect in a cold case, like, the police don't know who you are because they haven't identified, so you're out there somewhere. But if we start developing information that says, the person we're looking for may be a carpenter, we don't know who, but from a behavioral standpoint, when you do the profile, you start saying, hey, it could be a carpenter. Well, now, if I have an idea, I can start targeting, let's say, construction companies and other areas in a certain area as one of my areas of investigative interest. So it opens up a whole new thing on interests. So you look at demographics and relation. Maybe the person we're looking for is on the run, but they're a huge country music fan. So maybe what I do is I put a pin in the map about all of the country music concerts that are going on in big festivals. Man, this opens up a lot of things. So anyway, got a lot of great feedback on the demo. Again, very humble. And then what we did is we had about 19 folks that agreed to be beta testers. We had a good mix of law enforcement and citizens. And here's the interesting thing we did. I learned this lesson from the project at DOJ. One of the people, when we were getting ready to really go big with this, we had the ideas that look, we're going to have to do a privacy impact assessment. And at some point, you got to deal with the ACLU, the American Civil Liberties Union. And so one of the people, Tim Reed, Tim, he got the unfortunate task. He had to go brief the ACLU, and we're all thinking, this is going to be a bloodbath. It's going to be terrible. Actually, he came back from me, and they go, look, we think you could collect even more information. I mean, we were so shocked you could have knocked us over with a feather. I mean, that's how bad it was. So there's a lot. So that's what I'm saying. So the purpose then of the beta testers is twofold. One, we had citizens, and some of these citizens will become citizen case coordinators, and they're going to be helping input information on cases, helping law enforcement agencies, or being part of a targeting group that I'll be running. I'll be running several targeting groups on missing people, unidentified people, fugitives from justice, cold cases. So we're going to have people who want to focus on a different thing. Here's the difference, though. Even though they may focus in this area, all of the information they're putting in is going into HOLMES. You'll find it at openunsolved.org. All of it's going into HOLMES. So when it goes into HOLMES, no matter what case they put in there, we're looking for connections on every single case. So eventually it'll be about connecting cases to, or people to cases, cases to cases, cases to people. We'll be able to do stuff none of the systems that DOJ and law enforcement can do today. So that's some of the interesting things. So we also gave citizens access, even if they weren't going to be a case coordinator. Why? Because sometimes the problem is you get this cognitive bias, you get these blinders on, especially in law enforcement. The lesson I learned, and this is the lesson I learned, it took me 6 months of working down at the Department of Justice to get it, not only everybody to the table, but to get their blinders off. In other words, I won't say the agencies, everybody wants to pick, it's like, but everybody's got their equities. Everybody has something they want to protect. And they're, well, we can't do that because, or we can't do that because, and I'm going, Take the blinders off. You're not committing any policy violations here. Just tell me what information you need, what information you'd like to have, and who you'd like to get it from or where it might be. So I will tell you one example. The U.S. Marshals was saying, hey, we get fugitives that go on the run, and we know that part of their tradecraft is they'll rob banks. Believe it or not, there were people at the Marshals who were unaware that the FBI actually had a system for that. I think it was called BRSRA, Bank Robbery Statistical Reporting form or application. So they would go out to a bank robbery, which I worked bank robberies with the FBI before. You'd go through, you collect stuff. What was their tradecraft? What did they say? Were they right-handed or left-handed? How did they dress? Were they wearing oversized shoes? So basically, you collect things, enough information so that you can profile them and then connect them together. They were unaware of that. They also said, hey, we get these, we have to protect federal judges and courthouses. So it'd be great if we had a system that could collect information. Again, cross counterterrorism reporting of suspicious surveillance. So the reason I'm a big fan of putting people in the room, and for you cops out there, because I've seen it before, oh, well, they're a citizen, we can't let them in. They're not, this is not your system. This is their system. You are just populating a system for them to make connections to cases so that you can solve your case. This is not your system. This is not a law enforcement system. This is a system for the public so that the police and the public can work together to solve common problems. One of those being crime. I'm going to do a whole segment tomorrow on the cost of crime, some numbers that will blow your mind. So, but the great thing about it is that we got views of citizens going, well, what about this? Ways that cops would never think. Why? Because they've been told all along, like that work I did at Justice for 6 months. Well, the rules say, I don't care about the rules. Forget the rules. Just tell me what you need. Well, we finally got to that point, and I'm telling you, I may print it out sometime just to show you the pain I went through. It's 145 pages. That's what the strategy is to share information inside the U.S. Department of Justice. 145 pages, and I went through scenarios, operational scenarios. I may print that out just to show you the pain I went through sometime. But that's the purpose of getting citizens inside it. Now, the other thing we did too is now the cops are looking at it from a citizen point of view. You go create an account on the citizen side, on the citizen portal, and you start going, well, what about this? Well, what if we shared this information with them? They could do a better job of connecting. So we made some great breakthroughs for you beta testers out there. By the way, you owe me your feedback today, no later than noon, so I can aggregate it all and get it to Wipfil. We made some great breakthroughs. Here's the thing. Even though we're trying to make the system break, a couple minor things, this thing is about, I would say, 98% where we want it, and that is excellent. Anytime you do user acceptance testing, you assume, my assumptions are you're about 95% all the way there. I would say we're 98, 99% all the way there. Fabulous stuff. Very small things we'll have to correct. One of the things I realized too, and I've discovered this, is I started realizing some of our fugitives are in Puerto Rico. Why? Because Puerto Rico is a territory of the United States. And by the way, Puerto Rico handles their addresses just like the U.S. does. That's how the Postal Service delivers mail down there, zip +4. So we're going to look at adding Puerto Rico to our address database so that we can actually put pins. So if you're working a case and you're in Washington, but you think you got a suspect down in Puerto Rico, guess what? Find the address, put a pin in the map, draw a radius, let the system go to work for you 24/7. So that's kind of what we're working on that now. I will tell you, for some of you folks watching and for those of you who will watch, this is a two-step process. It's content first, user second. We're not going to open up the citizen portal for probably a couple months for two reasons. Number one, think about this. Think about a brand new store, grocery store opening up, and you go in there and the shelves are bare. There's maybe a loaf of bread and one carton of milk and something. You'd never come back to that place. That's the challenge we face. So I made a command decision. I said, we are not going to launch the citizen portal for 2 months. We're going to get law enforcement on board first. We'll get the law enforcement portal opened up. We'll start putting that stuff in there. Now you'll be able to see on the citizen side the cases that are coming in there. So we'll start populating. I'm figuring critical mass is about 500 cases that we'll need to cover that. Now, let me tell you real quick. This is the popularity of when we were doing this. This is just a small sampling of the agencies. I haven't even counted the number of different agencies, but we had the 4th Judicial District out of Colorado, Air Force Office of Special Investigations, Albemarle County, Arizona Attorney General, Arlington County Police, Baltimore County Police, Bureau of Justice Assistance, Bureau of Indian Affairs, Caldwell Parish Sheriff's Department down in Louisiana, Carlsbad Police Department, independent school districts, Charlotte Mecklenburg, big representation from Chesterfield County Police, City of William and Mary, Cuyahoga County, DHS, Department of Public Safety, Downers Grove Police, the Escambia County Sheriff's Office. Great representation from FBI. Thank you, my FBI folks. We're definitely going to need your help as well. You'll see U.S. Marshals, FDLE, Florida Department of Law Enforcement, Franklin County Sheriff's Office, Gloucester, Grant County, Greenville County Sheriff's Office, Halton Regional Police Service out of Canada. I know exactly where Canada is. Actually had some people from Australia on the Vic Police. I told you, there's my award. You can see it back there from the Victoria Police. What did I say the award was for? I made it 7 days without getting bit by a dangerous or being attacked by a dangerous animal or bit by a poisonous like a snake or insect or something. So that was my award. I just survived 7 days in the bush. So, Harris County DA, Henrico County, Illinois State Police, Jefferson Davis Parish, KBI, my friends at Kansas, yay, Kansas Bureau of Investigation. There it is, right there, back there, Kansas Highway Patrol, all roads, all codes, troopers rule. I was also a detective too, but still love my KHP days. La Mesa, La Force, Las Vegas PD, Leesburg PD, thank you. Captain LaBarque over there, met with her and the folks over there, so got a lot of folks from Leesburg PD on. My friends at Mid-Atlantic Cold Case Homicide Investigations Association, I'm headed up there Thursday to meet Johnny Capicelli, and Chris Flanagan. We're going to talk about how the cold case organizations, we can all work together. Maricopa County, Nashville, Minnesota Bureau of Criminal Apprehension. My good friend Bob Jacobson is the director now of the Minnesota Department of Public Safety, so he's over all of that, so that'll be good. Naperville, the National Police out of the Netherlands. I've worked very much with the Dutch police. Some great stories from there. NCIS, not the TV show, the actual Naval Criminal Intelligence Service. New Haven, Oklahoma Bureau of Criminal Investigation, folks. I mean, Orlando, Pima County, Prince George's County, Prince William County, RCMP. Quick story on RCMP. I won a trivia contest one time. There are actually 3 names to RCMP. The 2 names that they currently use, the Royal Canadian Mounted Police and GRC, Gendarmerie Royale du Canada, and the original name, Northwest Mounted Police. Thank you very much. Want a beer for that one. River Oaks, Roswell, Royal Police Force of Antigua and Barbuda. Woo! I think I need to go down there and work on a case. Sacramento, Salisbury, San Diego County. I mean, I'm not hitting every one of them. Tempe, Tennessee Highway Patrol, Tucson Police Department, Tulsa PD, U.S. Marshal Service. My friends, my fraternity brother, Mark Espinoza over there, Maggie Barone, working very closely with those. Postal Inspection, VACP, Dana and Aaron from them, very important. Virginia Beach Police Department, the governor's office, met with the new Secretary of Public Safety for Virginia. Had a great talk with him. Those guys are on board, William and Mary. I mean, you guys can just see there's just a ton of stuff that we're working on right now. So anyway, don't want to bore you too much, but I just wanted you to see, and then over 100 citizens and nonprofits, the Aware Foundation, several ones dealing with missing, Reopen the Case Foundation, Brandy Brown down there in Richmond. We're going to have a meeting with her pretty soon to see what we can do from a media standpoint. So this is just getting started, but I want to set the expectation. Content first, users second. So if you want to help out, if you want to be a citizen case coordinator, openunsolved.org, just email us at info@openunsolved.org. It'll be on the website there. Watch the replay of this. And tomorrow I'll come back and I'll talk a little bit about the cost of crime. Again, some numbers that'll blow your mind. And no matter what state you're in, I'm telling you right now, this is something that's going to affect all of you. All right, so just a quick recap. Beta testing going underway. I'm collecting my feedback. Got half of the feedback. You other half, get me your stuff. I know where you are because I have your email addresses, and we'll find you. So just get your stuff into it. So hey guys, I want to thank you. We'll keep doing this. We'll keep posting more. We'll keep updating you more on what's going on. Just keeping things transparent. So thank you very much. Support the mission. Openunsolved.org. Go there. Send me an email, info@openunsolved.org, and we're going to start putting together some software and some services, subscriptions that we have so we can start managing emails better. So it's called Flowdesk, but we'll be doing some neat things so we can manage emails and communicate better rather than kind of this ad hoc thing. But folks, right now, Chief Cook Bottle Washer, there's a lot of stuff that I'm doing along with my partners. Kelly, she's CFO. We've got a lot of help from Chesterfield County, a lot of you folks out there. So we're getting stuff done on a shoestring, folks. I'm telling you, we've built this on less than what you would pay 2 police executives. 2 police executives, less than 2 of those. So we're being very good with our money if you're listening at their cop's office. So thank you guys very much. More updates later. And until then, you guys stay safe. Join us. Go watch the replay at openunsolved.org. Figure out how you can help. Click, connect, solve. See you guys.